Hey, this is Jaryd Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And in this episode, I'm speaking with a client from Buying Online Businesses who joined the community and within 6 months bought his first website business, making him $1,100 per month. Now, in our talk with Shashank, we talk about his process of not knowing anything and then submitting some websites to me for review, and me just picking apart these businesses and leading him down the track to him understanding that they weren't good website businesses. I'm huge on teaching a man to fish to eat for a lifetime rather than giving a man to fish to eat dinner for one night. So that's what I do through this process of teaching people to buy website businesses. And he learned a lot from that experience of just doing due diligence on sites that weren't great investments. Now, from then, we talk about his experience in the community and working with everybody else within the community, having his questions answered, and then also making friends. And then we talk about the website he bought and his experience of buying the site and his goals and stuff that he wants to do to grow it as well. So let's get stuck into this episode. Awesome. Hey, Shashank, thanks for coming on and having a chat. Congrats on buying your first website business. How does it feel?
Thank you. It's pretty good. I've been looking for one since October almost. So, 6 months in, finally have one. I'm excited. Let's see.
Yeah. And so when did you come and start working with me? When did you join the community?
Yeah, I think around October as well. I knew I wanted to take a course of some sort because I knew nothing about buying businesses or running a business, a real business, what kind of things to look for. Didn't know anything about websites or, just the whole space. So I knew I wanted to have someone teach me how to do it. And then I remember, I don't know actually how I found you, because were you ever on David Barnett's podcast?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that's where I found you. But then I think a long time before October, or at least a few months before October, you were on his podcast. And I think that's where I found you. And I kind of just had a bookmark because at that time I was still working.
Yeah.
And my plan was to quit my job and get into business. And then I remember I'd bookmarked you somehow as I was doing my research. I thought that yours was, it made the most sense for me, mainly because also the community came with it. So, it's been great so far. But I started in October of last year is when
cool.
was, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you've gotten so much from it. You've gone away and bought a business. That was your goal. I'm glad we made that happen. And so you knew nothing about website businesses before you even heard me speak with David?
No, I think I don't remember exactly what that podcast was about too, but yeah, even after that, I didn't really know much till I till I started looking into them. I mean, I'd like to think that I still don't know that much because it hasn't been a long time.
you know enough to buy a business and
I
changes,
knew,
which is great.
Yeah.
So what were you worried about most when you sort of I want to buy a business, and then you decided, I'll probably buy a website business? What made you decide to buy a website business over a brick and mortar business or any other business for that matter? And then what were some of the worries or the fears or the things that you thought you might have had, this is risky? What were you worried about with the course or joining the community or this space at all?
So actually, I'm not averse to risk brick and mortar businesses. That's David Barnett is he usually deals with brick and mortar businesses. So
yeah,
my dream business is to own a doggy daycare one day. Like, I love
cool.
dogs. I feel like that's something it's a good service to provide to the community. But at this point in my life, I wanted to be more location independent.
Yeah.
So I felt like, okay, maybe buying a website makes more sense for me right now. So that's kind of why I'm in the website space right now. And I feel like it's great to at least learn about these things. This is definitely where the world is trending digital right now. I feel like, yeah, there's so much opportunity here. And one of the other things, you can really start small in the online space, whereas with a real world business, physical world business,
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
yeah, it's businesses usually go for a lot more, at least the ones that are worthwhile.
Yeah, you're right.
So
It is such a like untapped space. Like I really feel it's in its infancy. It's still at baby stages, really, because there's so much opportunity and so much direction we can take. Like if you think about it, you probably didn't know what FBA was before you started, before October. And FBA was only, only started existing maybe say 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's one of the most prominent business models that you can buy or start. So things change really quickly. And yeah, you're right. It's an exciting space. So before you came to start working with Bob and myself in the community, what were some of the things you thought a bit skeptical about? And did they come true? Or like, what was your biggest worry?
My biggest worry was just, that the course might not be worth it. Actually, I saw you on there too, and you've done a really good job of, leaving your footprint within the community. So,
Yeah.
I forget his name. It's an older guy with the website investor. I forget his name. Jeff Hunt. Yes, yes. And I think you had a recommendation on his website.
Okay.
And I sent him a message on LinkedIn as well, just asking about, what is he still keeping up with the course, because it had no date and nothing. So because
Yeah.
I'd seen his free videos on YouTube, and those were kind of informative. So I was like, okay, his course is probably good. Let me go with him. But then I messaged him on LinkedIn, and he said, yeah, I haven't been promoting this course. It's been a year or something since I've updated it. I was like, okay, let me go to this Jaryd guy's uh, website and see what it's about. But it has, but then what really sealed the deal for me was some of the interviews that you have. I think the one with Sam is public on the website. And I was like, okay, he's involved with the community. And that sealed the deal for me. And I was like, okay, even if the course is not that great, which it is, there at least if there's a community which is active, I can ask questions there. So yeah, I was like, okay, it's worth it. Let me just give it a try.
And Jeff's a great guy. I've spoken to Jeff and worked with him years and years and years ago. He was heavily into the space, but that's a while ago now. He seems like he's dropped off. I don't know if he's doing property or something like that, but he's a smart guy and he knows some stuff about the space, which is great. So the course, like you said, it's good, which is great. And are you saying that you like the community aspect quite a lot? Like, is that something that you've gotten most out of this whole thing?
I think that's the best part about it, is because it's hard to find, because again, this space is kind of, maybe if it's not an infant, it's definitely not more than a teenager at this point. It's still a baby, sort of. So yeah, just having people who are also doing the same thing, it's very helpful. I know if I was doing it all alone, maybe I would have gotten distracted and started doing something else, look for opportunities somewhere else. It's just very helpful, a group of people, like part of an accountability group from Bob community as well. And it's,
Yeah.
we speak once a week. It's just nice to see what everyone else is doing, what kind of struggles they have. And it's everyone's different in the space too. When someone does something good, someone, hits a milestone, we all celebrate it. And when someone needs some help, someone's stuck, you know, someone or the other has some constructive advice for everyone. And it's really helpful. And then of course, having you there, you're very involved with the community as well. I think you probably answer every question on the Facebook group.
I definitely do.
So yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, it's good that you have built friendships and there's those accountability groups. There's a couple of them going around. So groups within the hub of the community, and I feel that's what's the strongest point is having that there is you don't just have one person. Like I used to think, all right, well, if I'm going to buy something, I want somebody on my team to look at some things and double check things. And that's what I do for you guys. But it's also good to just have other people to bounce ideas off. And that's what I find is so valuable, is like the collection of minds. Tell us more about the business that you bought. It's your first website business. Actually, before we do, I just want to say congrats to you, because when you first started submitting some businesses to me, I was like, well, we need to improve a little bit on this. But I can easily say, as a student, you are like the most improved student. You've just picked it up really quick. And that last one that you submitted to me, it was like miles above the first one. And it's not to, point fingers at you, but you knew nothing about the space, and you came in and, within 6 months you bought a business and knew nothing. So you really put in the work. So congrats on that. It's really good.
Thank you. I mean, your feedback helped too. When I look back now, yeah, I mean, the first one was definitely. I mean, now that I know a little bit more about the space and the Google updates and stuff, yeah, the first one.
But we didn't go down that route, which is good. So tell us more about the business
No,
that
I
you
was
did buy.
also really excited about that first one. I wanted to buy that first one.
I know. And I was
But
like, come on, bro. I tried my hardest to just lead you down the path without saying no. That's what I tried
yeah,
to
and
do
I
with a lot
think
of people.
eventually I just started explicitly asking you to in my following due diligence reports, just hey, tell me honestly, I'm gonna buy this. Tell me honestly, what do you feel about it?
See, this is the thing with first time buyers. Like, when you come over, I guess you've probably seen business of the sale and you see how much return you can make. It's like, this is like, I have to have this. What do you mean? Like, I need to have this business because it's making this much money. It's the typical thing. And I went through that as well. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
it's,
mean, and also from the accountability group, I think they probably spoke to you this past weekend and forward to seeing what you told them
yeah.
on Sunday when we speak. But that was one of those businesses where I could see that he's very excited to buy it. But I thought
Yeah.
just seeing how your feedback is, I'm curious to see whether what you told them. And, so I was telling him, hey, make sure you run it by Jaryd before you go ahead and buy it, because he wanted to buy it. I'm like, dude, no, make sure to run it by Jaryd, please.
Always run
Because
it. Yeah,
looking at
bro.
looking at this how it's going, I think maybe it's not good, but I don't know. So maybe run it by Jaryd to make sure, because I got really
Hmm.
excited too. I'm not saying whether it is or it isn't.
I'm gonna
This
I'm
is
gonna
your
keep
first
the
one.
suspense. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
tell you what happened, but
No, no, no. Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday when I'm gonna ask him.
so much good stuff happening. But yeah, tell us more about the business. Let's hear about it.
Oh
What
yeah,
business
yeah.
model did you
So
buy, and how much did it cost? How much is it making per month? What sort of work is it required to run it? All those things.
I bought an Amazon affiliate site. The mainly where the revenue comes from is a few pages. I'd say the top 10 maybe get 85% of the traffic, and the top three get around 50% of the traffic. If I had to guess, I think there's just my to-do list is too long. I think probably 75% of the revenue is also, maybe more, is coming from those three pages, the top three pages.
Yeah.
Last 12 months makes 1,135 bucks, and per month I purchased it for 36,000 and paid fees and stuff, so you can say 38,000 with everything included. That's a 32x multiple at 36, so let's say 34x at 38k. So pretty good. If there were zero taxes, I'd make my
For a
money.
content site as well, it's quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with the deal. Maybe, with the uncertainty, it might go down a bit, but because I had that, I'm still happy with the 36. If instead of 3 years, it takes 3.5, 4 years, I'm happy with that too, but I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, that's
I'm
what we're
working
going to
hard.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be working hard on it, and we're going to be scaling it. But it's awesome. So, how does it feel knowing that you're, not doing laborsome work and you're making an income? How does it feel?
So yeah, I've never done labor some work, so I don't know what it feels like. I've always kind of sat behind a computer and, made my money that way.
Yeah,
But it's good. I think at this point, eventually, it's going to be kind of passive. But at this point, there's so much learning and so hard. And I think that's everyone needs to do that, especially if you're new in the space.
for
So I'm
sure.
learning so much right now, and it's great. Even if I do think I'm going to continue to do this, but never say can be 100%. But even if I'm doing something else a couple years down the line, I feel like this is something. This is a good skill to have, just to know how the online space works. There's so much money to be made here.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
so
big
much
stepping
opportunity.
stone. Yeah,
Yeah, and even the person I bought the business from, then even, English isn't his first language. English, he's actually can't even have normal conversation in English. I remember the first time I was on a call with him asking him about his business. His friend was with him so that he could act as like an interpreter. So if
yeah,
a person like that can come up with a website can build a website like this from scratch really shows how much opportunity there is in this space if you're willing to work hard, especially.
So congrats on all of that. That's absolutely excellent. Like all the things that we're going to be working on, like you said, when you're first new in the space and you buy a site, you want to do some work on it. Even when you're not new in this space and you buy a site. So say I buy a site at the end of the year when everything blows over, this whole health scenario thing that's going on in the world. Say I buy a site towards the end of the year. I'm definitely, or even if I was to do it now, I'm going to do a lot of work on it too. I like to buy these and treat them like startups. And that's exactly the mentality that you have as well. So I think that's great. Yeah. So what would you say to somebody who was sitting where you were sitting and kind of thinking, should I jump online? Should I start a website business? Should I buy one? And sort of like not knowing what to do, or like thinking about, all right, maybe I'm listening to Jaryd's podcast and I've thought about maybe joining, but I don't know if it's right for me. What would you say to somebody who's in that boat?
See, again, I don't think it's for everyone
Yeah.
because there is a learning curve for sure. And if you're interested, if you're someone who's interested in exploring this space, if you're someone who thinks that this might be for them, then I feel like this is the mentality that I have, is just at least try it. Try it. Maybe you don't like it. It's not going to be smooth sailing. I know before I started buying a business, I was like, oh, I have money. So of course I'll be able to buy a good one. That no, a lot of people have money and a lot of people have a lot of money.
Yeah,
So so if you have money, that doesn't make a difference.
that's right.
You still have to put in the work. You still have to find a good deal. So again, it's work, but the community is here for you. Jaryd is here for you. I sometimes feel like, again, this is maybe you've thought, I'm sure you've thought about it, because I'm like, okay, it's good that the community is not huge right now, but if one day it grows to like 1,000 people, like, I don't know if Jaryd's going to be able to handle it. At least after all, he's just one guy. So jump when it's not that big right now. And, and it's a lot. I think everyone who posts and comments and stuff kind of knows each other too. So, and people are here to help. So give it a try, I would say, to anyone who's interested. It's not compared to some of the other courses. At least just take the course, just go through it. At least you learn something. It's not like, even if you don't end up buying a business, and I know some people jump out, we do have a little bit of churn as well. And those people just realize that they don't, it's not for them. And it's not a
What's the
bad thing.
worst you do is like you jump in for 2 months and you cancel. I mean, it's not like you have to pay a big whopping fee
Yeah.
to jump in. You can cancel whenever you want. There's
Yeah.
no questions asked. And
Yeah.
that's
If
right.
you
That's what you
don't
said.
jump in, yeah, I was saying, if you don't jump in, then you're going to have that question of what if too. So just, if you can afford, at least if you guess, especially if you can afford, I think you also have a first month offer now, which you didn't back when I joined. But just join.
I don't right now.
It's not
No.
that much money. I see. Okay, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
not that much money. Just, if you have to, I would say you should invest in learning, and this is just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for having a chat. I wish you all the very best. We got some
Thank you.
digging to do, and I'm looking forward to watching you scale your business and buy some more. So thanks again for jumping on.
Excellent. Thank you, Jaryd.
And that's it for this episode, guys. Now, before you rush off and try and replicate what Shashank has done, I want you to make sure you're buying a good website and don't go away and buy yourself a lemon. So, what I'd love to give you is my free resource, which is the Due Diligence Framework 2.0. It's got a lot of great feedback from sellers and buyers through the questions that are within that due diligence framework. So, go away to buyingonlinebusinesses.com/free resources and download that due diligence framework. And before you rush off and finish up this episode, make sure you can think of 2 to 3 people who are looking to possibly buy a website or even get into this space and will get value from this podcast episode. Please do them a massive favor and share this episode with them so they can learn the right way to buy a website business. That's it for today, guys. I'll see you on the next one.